Hello and welcome to the Comeback Mechanics February 2025 Gym Leader Challenge Tournament. My name is Cody Hope and I'm casting for you this second round feature match between Alan Schultz with his colorful colorless birds deck and Steve Zhao on Psychic. The Comeback Mechanics are a competitive team based in Dallas, Texas, and this matchup is from our monthly Gym Leader Challenge Tournament. Some huge news for this month, we have partnered with Lone Star Pack Breaks in Carrollton, Texas, who have generously provided prizing for this event. Everyone, please send some love over to Lone Star Pack Breaks.
Join Lone Star Pack Breaks live on Twitch Wednesday through Friday nights to rip into the latest Pokemon sets in English and Japanese, plus One Piece, Weiss, Union Arena, Final Fantasy, and more. LSPB ships anywhere in the U.S., or if you're local, choose in-store pickup at their shop in Carrollton, Texas. Pickup orders are usually ready 1 to 2 days after a stream. Plus, if you're a Pokemon player, don't miss their standard tournaments every Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Check out the links below to get in on the action.
Thanks again to Lone Star Pack Breaks for sponsoring the team. Over to the decks now. Alan is on your left and he is playing a birds list. So all of the Pokemon within his deck are bird Pokemon. Steve is on the right and he is playing a traditional psychic list, making use of Gallade and Tinkaton. We see that Steve's going to start. He is opened on the routes and he's going to start off with the Fog Crystal, allowing him to search his deck for any basic Psychic Pokemon or any basic Psychic Energy. And it's looking like he is eyeing up the Cleffa here, but before he makes a decision, he is going to use his Matty Map V-Star marker. The Matty Map is a house rule that we have where the first time you search your deck, you can take a look over at your prizes. The reason why we do this is because doing a deck search in a 60-card format, prize checking can just take a while, and so with the Matty Map, we really get to cut down on the time spent prize checking and get to increase the pace of play here. And we do see that the Cleffa will be the grab for Steve. I was talking to Steve a little later on that night, and he told me that Cleffa is one of his favorite Pokemon in the deck. Provides so much utility, is a pivot, allows you to Grasping Draw to refill the hand. You know, just really, really solid utility Pokemon in the Psychic archetype. And we are going to see an attached retreat from the routes into the Cleffa here. So trying to set up so we can pivot into an attacker on the next turn. But I think Steve has underestimated the reckless charge that the Doduo can do. So if Alan can just find an energy, that Doduo is going to be able to take a knockout here on his first turn. And Alan has no need for the Matty Map. He's got the Hisuian Heavy Ball, allowing him to take a look at those prizes, pull a basic out of it. And by looking over here, there's no basic in there. I do see the Guzma. I do see the Gift Energy as well. And that didn't seem like there was anything crazy in there. No key Pokemon prized, no key supporter prize. Some really good utility in there, but nothing mandatory, it looks like. We're going to see a bench of the Antique Old Amber. Antique Old Amber evolves into the Aerodactyl, and then notably it has 60 HP and is unaffected by special conditions. No. It is prevents the effect of abilities done to it. So very, very interesting little fossil card there. We're going to see Twin Energy get put onto the Doduo, so we are going to see a knockout with Reckless Charge, and then a big Marnie is going to happen, resetting both players' hands. Alan's going to put down the Fan Rotom, very powerful fan call ability, allowing Alan to search his deck for 3 normal Pokemon with 100 or less HP. What's so powerful about this ability is that it doesn't have to be basic Pokemon. So Alan can get his basics to set up, but he can also grab some evolutions here. Notably, the Dodrio has 100 HP. The Fletchinger in that Talonflame line has 90 HP. Could also be grabbing something like the Hoot Hoot as well, but we do see that the Pokemon he's grabbing here is that Dodrio, wanting to evolve it on the next turn. Got that Fletching and then the Fletchinger. So kind of really setting up with the Fan Rotom. And I know what you're thinking here. You're going, wait a second. I thought Alan was only playing with birds in his deck. All the Pokemon we've seen so far have been birds with wings. That Fan Rotom is not a bird. And here's what I got to say to you. The Fan Rotom's a drone, and just like all birds are, a drone's a bird. So, you know, it counts. Don't worry about it. It's fine. And then we are going to see the Wingull getting benched here. The Wingull evolves into the Pelipper. The Pelipper has that Hearsay ability, functions as kind of a Versus Seeker or a Luminion V, allowing you to kind of get a supporter from your deck or your discard pile. So very, very strong ability there. And we are going to see Reckless Charge for knockout here. So the Cleffa has gotten knocked out here. And we've already put 10 damage on the Doduo. So the Dodrio will be able to do even more damage on the next turn. Well, it would if Steve didn't play this Marnie, putting all of those Pokemon that Alan just searched onto the bottom of his deck. We do see that he has also evolved into the Kirlia and slapped the counter energy on it. And because Steve is now behind on prizes, that counter energy does provide 2 energy. Off of the Buddy Buddy Poffin, we see the Tinkatink and the Natu. Trying to get some of that support Pokemon put into play. Natu evolves into the Xatu, which accelerates psychic energy from the hand into play. Notably did not get the Inkay here, which the Malamar I think is a very integral Pokemon to the psychic strategy. So very interesting that that was not the grab here. Okay, we see the Hisuian Heavy Ball, and all right, well, there we go, right? Inkay was trapped in the prizes, it looks like, so. Good news, got all those support Pokemon on the bench already. We also have the Wobbuffet, which is very, very nice as well. Shuts off those abilities. And Steve is kind of faced with a choice here. He could slap for 30, but, you know, trying to knock out this Doduo through a couple slaps probably isn't going to do what you want it to do. And it leaves that Kirlia in the active spot. Could get knocked out on the next turn even if Steve is not careful. He could also just retreat it into the Wobbuffet. It feels really bad to get rid of the counter energy as just a pivot, but, you know, and that, it looks like that is what he's going to do. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to buy yourself some time here. So by retreating into the Wobbuffet, shutting off all of Alan's abilities, so even if Alan is able to find some of those evolutions, he won't be able to use their powerful abilities. We see the Pokegear 3.0, allowing Alan to look at the top 7 and grabbing a supporter. You may have noticed if you had the keen eyes like those birds do that Alan has a fire energy in his hand. Alan is playing 3 basic energy in his deck, fire, grass, and water. The idea being is that he's playing the Crispin. Crispin allows you to take 2 basic energy with different types out of your deck, put 1 on a Pokemon, put the other into your hand. So we're playing the basic energy for that, and for this Raihan, which is what we have grabbed off of the Pokegear, right? Raihan can only accelerate basic energy into play. You'll see from some of the other colorless decks in the format, notably anything with Snorlax, typically the like Porygon builds will just run a bunch of special energy, no basic energy to be found, so Raihan is not a card that can be played. But since we are on those basic energies, Raihan gets to do some work in this archetype. We see Avery is going to be the supporter for turn, discarding the Tinkatink from Steve's bench and allowing Alan to draw 3, which he is just going to toss in the discard pile with this Ultra Ball. Going to get rid of the fire energy as well as the Artisan. And it's looking like we could search up that Dodrio, try to get some extra. Well, you're not going to be able to draw because of the Wobbuffet, but we can attack with it. We can deal 40 damage. Not enough to knock out this Wobbuffet, but enough to start maybe pressuring it. We could also just go into the Fletchinger, which is what it looks like we're going to do here. Makes a lot of sense here. Just start to set up that big stage 2 Pokemon here. And notably, we see almost every Pokemon that is in Alan's deck is kind of on the board here. We are just missing the Hoot Hoot Noctowl line here. And then the Lugia. Otherwise, every kind of line in Alan's deck is starting to get set up here. So the plan is slowly coming together. We see that Steve is going to play one of my favorite cards, the Timer Ball. Allows him to roll 2 dice. You know, Steve's a little tired playing Pokemon, wants to roll 2 dice. And sometimes he even gets to search for an evolution Pokemon here. And it's looking like he's grabbing either the Xatu or the Malamar is what he's eyeing up here. And yep, going to be that Xatu. Allows Steve to put a psychic energy in his hand onto one of his benched Pokemon, and if he does, he gets to draw 2, so it does double duty as energy acceleration as well as drawing cards, so really gets to do a lot with that here. No, he's thinking about it. He's thinking about if he wants to go into the Malamar or not. We do know that there is psychic energy in the discard, so Malamar could be used immediately. I don't know how much psychic energy is currently in the hand. And we are going to choose the Xatu here. So definitely feels like there's psychic energy in the hand ready to be put into play. So yep, got some questions about the antique old amber there, but yeah, it sits pretty, very, very nice. One of the better fossil items, I would say, and it was really great that we got to open on the antique old amber on Alan's side, right? There's really no way to tutor those out. And we're going to see a bench of the Necrozma. The Necrozma gets to hit for 160 with its special laser attack, where if the Necrozma has to have a special energy attached to it. That combos really well with the Tinkaton, which also cares about having special energy attached to it. So you get to play all those very powerful psychic special energies, things like the mystery energy, the horror energy, and they have extra uses being able to deal some additional damage here. We're going to see an evolution into the Gallade and then a Colress here. So Steve will be shuffling his hand into his deck, and he's going to draw a big 8 off of this Colress. Would have been nice to get to use the refinement here, but already had the Gallade in the hand, and you really don't want to build this big hand size and then just Colress it back into your deck. You know, why throw away a card forever if you're not really going to get the benefit of the extra cards here? So Steve instead is just saying, I'll just shuffle the deck. It's fine. I won't use refinement now. Who cares? We will see the Buddy Catch, allowing Steve to search for a supporter for next turn. Looking like Guzmahala is being eyed up here. That is an absolute staple in the Gym Leader Challenge format. Most decks are going to be running that Guzmahala. Allows you to search for a Stadium, a Tool, and a Special Energy, but you do got to discard 2 cards to get all 3 here. And notably, Psychic has some of the best stadiums in the game with that Dimension Valley, reducing the cost of Psychic attacks by 1. We are going to see the Malamar here, allowing Steve to accelerate an extra energy onto that Necrozma. So that Necrozma very close to getting to attack here. Notably, we don't have a special energy just yet, and the Wobbuffet is kind of stuck in the active spot here, so Alan will probably get another turn before the Necrozma can attack. Might have been why we grabbed the Guzmahala, right, to try to find that float stone on a future turn here. Nest Ball is going to fail. Nothing we really want off of it. And then we're going to go back over to Alan here. Alan does have the Muscle Band, not able to knock out this Wobbuffet still. But there is a world where with the Bird Keeper could put this Fletchinger in the active. We do have Talonflame in the hand, so we just need to find that energy card. And if we can find the energy card, can take a big knockout with the Talonflame. At least I think that's the Talonflame in the hand. I could be wrong here. But we are just going to see, going over into the Fan Rotom. Currently there is no Stadium in play, so that Fan Rotom cannot attack. Again, Fan Rotom, very excellent Pokemon here. Very powerful ability. And the Assault Landing doing 70 for 1 is not bad at all here. Talonflame was indeed in the hand, and that's what we're going into now. We do see that Capture Energy is in Alan's hand. That is the only energy that he has. But there's nothing he can really attack with, right? We could attach to the Fan Rotom, but it's not going to do anything. Could attach to the Talonflame, just start to get some energy onto it. But we're not going to be able to attack with it this turn. But notably, though, Alan does have the Colress's Tenacity, so that will allow him to either get a Stadium in play for the Fan Rotom or get a second energy card for the Talonflame. I mean, it does both, but depending on how Steve's next turn plays out, could dictate kind of what the priority is going to be. Out of the Capture Energy, the Hoot Hoot is going to be grabbed here. The Hoot Hoot evolves into the Noctowl, and there's no Terra Pokemon in play, so we're not playing that Noctowl, but rather we are playing the Temporal Forces Noctowl that has the Talon Hunt attack. Does 70 damage and allows you to Starbirth. Search your deck for 2 cards and put them in your hand. Very, very crazy effect of that attack. And 70 is enough to knock out a lot of evolving basics. So if you're able to get this Noctowl out in the early game, you can knock out some of these, small basic Pokemon while setting up your future turns. So very, very cool Pokemon there. We're going to see that Steve is going to be using Arven. No, okay, he is using the Buddy Catch. We thought he was going to grab the Arven, but it is in fact going Arv back into the deck, and the Hex Maniac is going to be coming Arv out. We're going to see the Clairvoyant Sense putting an energy on the Gallade and allowing Steve to draw 2 cards here. Just so powerful, getting to both accelerate the energy as well as draw cards. It's just, man, Psychic has access to so many good support Pokemon here. Notably, could probably see the Guzma is what I would imagine, getting the Float Stone for that Wobbuffet, and then can get the special energy needed to use the special laser. Could even grab something like the Dimension Valley to try to maybe help this Gallade attack. Yeah, right, especially, yep, we're going to use Psychic Recharge onto the Gallade. So maybe we don't attack with the Necrozma here. Could get Dimension Valley, allowing that Gallade to attack, can move that Psychic energy back over to the bench. We're going to see that we are going to play the Guzma, getting rid of Bridget and Mew. And, oh, Steve, I can't believe you've done this. He has instead decided to discard the Ball guy. Very disappointing. Boo. But Steve is going to get to search some very powerful cards from his deck into his hand. Looks like that Mystery Energy, Float Stone, and, yep, going to grab that Dimension Valley. Nope. Ooh, Parallel City is going to be the stadium here. So this is going to be a big turn for Steve. He's going to finally be able to get this Wobbuffet out of the active. Going to take a huge knockout with the Necrozma, and is going to limit Alan's bench. So 2 Pokemon will get discarded to the Parallel City, and then another one is going to get knocked out from the attack. So Alan's really strong board is just going to kind of get decimated here. And it's going to be the Wingull and the Hoot Hoot, those evolving basics. And it doesn't look like Alan has those Pokemon in his hand, so it makes a lot of sense to get rid of those. We are going to see the Mystery Energy, the Float Stone, and it looks like we are going to see a big special laser knocking out that Rotom. Now, notably here, the Necrozma does have 2 retreat, so that Arrow Chase is going to deal 220 damage. Big knockout here. Just has to find an energy. And notably, we do have the Raihan. We know that there's that fire energy in the discard pile. But eyeing up the Colress's Tenacity here. The problem with Colress's Tenacity, though, is that there are only 2 stadiums in Alan's deck. And that is the Parallel City and the Artisan. There's already a Parallel City in play, so getting that doesn't really do anything. And we do know the Artisan was discarded to that Ultra Ball a little earlier. Right now, we're going to see an Evo Soda, allowing that Doduo to evolve into the Dodrio. And notably, we are not under the Wobbuffet anymore, so Zooming Draw is going to allow Alan to draw an extra card here. Alan's looking at that powerful Colorless energy. Allows the Colorless Pokemon it's attached to do 20 more damage. Doing some math here, trying to figure out what we're trying to knock out here. Because notably, this Talonflame can knock out everything in play. Maybe we're thinking about getting it on the Dodrio, allowing the Dodrio to have just a little bit of extra reach to take a big knockout, maybe. Or could be maybe trying to set up with the Aerodactyl. The Aerodactyl notably does 100 and devolves the Pokemon that it attacks. So if we can do that into something like this Gallade, the Kirlia will be knocked out. Same thing with the Xatu, as well as the Malamar, as well as maybe Tinkaton if that ever gets into play. Let's see, off of the Colress's Tenacity here, just grabbing that powerful colorless energy. There is no stadium being grabbed here. Again, we know that Artisan is in the discard pile, and I'm not sure where the Parallel City is, if it's in the deck or if it is in the prize cards. But either way, wouldn't be doing us too much good, even if it was available to us. And interesting, going to put that powerful colorless energy on the Talonflame. So Talonflame is going to be dealing 240, quite a bit of damage here. Able to kind of super knock out everything. We even see the Muscle Band, so if Alan really wanted a bird of prey here, he sure could. And the Talonflame is going to be knocking out that Necrozma, but what are we looking at? Oh, the Mystery Energy is in play. The Mystery Energy reduces the retreat cost of the Necrozma by 2. It makes so much more sense now. So we're not dealing 220, we're only dealing 110 because that Necrozma has 0 retreat. So we needed the powerful colorless energy to get that 110 up to 130. Very, very smart thinking by Alan. He definitely was paying attention and was able to kind of get a knockout. Steve thought he could gotcha Alan, and he sure didn't. We're going to see Evolution Incense being played back over on Steve's side of the board. Going to get that Tinkaton into the hand. There is no like Thornton shenanigans that are going to be happening here, so I think we're just grabbing that for a future turn here. And we have the Field Blower, got the Bridget. Teammates is probably going to be the supporter for turn, I would imagine here. Because right now, Steve needs to either get another energy card. Well, he can get energy onto the Gallade. Oh, he can put the Necrozma on the Gallade. I didn't even think about that. No, basic Psychic on the Gallade. My mistake. And yeah, so he's got that attacker set up in the Gallade, but notably, the Gallade does move in energy when it attacks. So really, we want to get a second attacker into play so we can move that energy from the Gallade to a benched attacker. So when that Gallade gets knocked out, we're already ready with another Pokemon here. And we are going to see the Hex Maniac here. So that's going to shut off all of Alan's abilities until Steve's next turn here. So get to see the Swirling Slice from the Gallade, knocking out that Talonflame. And unfortunately, weren't able to find another attacker, so we are going to have to move that Psychic Energy to one of these support Pokemon. Going to be the Wobbuffet. Now, notably, the Wobbuffet does have damage on it, so the attack does do something, I guess, but probably just more of a holding facility for the Psychic Energy, but maybe in the chance that Alan plays a Field Blower, gets rid of the Parallel City, and then the Float Stone, the Wobbuffet is only an attachment away from being able to retreat. So prepping that retreat makes a lot of sense, especially because it doesn't really matter where else it goes, right? Alan's thinking on what to promote here. We do know that he has the Raihan in his hand, so it's possible for this Aerodactyl to get set up maybe. But no, we're just going to promote the Dodrio here. Notably, cannot Zooming Draw. Going to do the Energy Lotto, searching the top 7, hoping to find an energy card here. If he does find an energy, that Aerodactyl will be able to attack this turn because Alan can attach for turn, Raihan to accelerate, and then grab the Aerodactyl off of the Raihan. But fortunately not, finding a lot of nothing here. Notably, the Dodrio is only dealing 100 damage here. We do know that Alan has the Muscle Band in his hand, but that is not going to be enough to knock out the Gallade. Even if we had access to Zooming Draw, the Dodrio is not getting a knockout. We need to find something like a Boss's Orders, but unfortunately, looking at the hand, we don't have access to that. And it looks like Raihan will be the supporter for turn anyway, allowing Alan to put that Fire Energy onto one of his Pokemon. I imagine it'll be that Antique Old Amber, and he gets to search his deck for any card here. We could grab the Aerodactyl, could grab an energy even to put onto the Old Amber, because notably Alan does have the Winona in his hand, so on his next turn he could Winona, grab Aerodactyl, grab some more basics, and then that Aerodactyl is ready to attack. Could maybe grab the Buddy Poffin. That also makes a lot of sense here, just kind of set up some stuff. He is eyeing up the Aerodactyl here, but notably, though, it is not looking good for him. He's not able to knock out the Gallade this turn. As long as Steve can find an energy, Gallade will be able to take another knockout on this Dodrio, and that will allow Steve to pull ahead 3 to 4 prizes here. So Alan's in a little bit of a tough spot, and it looks like he is just eyeing up the basic water energy. Kind of running out of special energy that matters here. Alan is notably, because of those basic energy, not playing as many special energy as some other colorless decks. We see that most of his colorless energy sources are the double energies here, double colorless, double turbo, twin energy, counter energy even. And so, you know, getting the basic makes a lot of sense here. We see the Super Rod coming down here, and Alan gets to shuffle 3 cards back into his deck, and it's looking like it's going to be the Wingull, the Fletching, and the Talonflame, so maybe trying to rare candy his way into it. Super Rod's a really great inclusion for this deck, shuffling 3 basic energy and or Pokemon into the deck. Again, notably with like the Porygon Z normal build, there are no basic energies, and so you're really just shuffling Pokemon back into the deck. So you get to use some different recursion cards, but because we're playing those basic energy cards, Super Rod just does make a lot of sense here. Really allows you to make sure your Crispin always hits. And we are, in fact, going to see the water energy over onto the Antique Old Amber. And that might just be it. We might be seeing a pass over. Oh, no. We are going to Ballistic Beak. There's no reason not to, right? Going to deal 100 damage to that Gallade. And we're going to see the Level Ball coming down for Steve. Level Ball allows him to search for a Pokemon with 90 or less HP. Doesn't look like there's really any in the deck here. But it's good. Just kind of allows Steve to kind of survey the land a little bit. Make sure that what he thinks is in the deck is in the deck. Sometimes when you're playing these tournaments, especially with it being that 60 card singleton, it's real easy to kind of forget where some of your cards are the longer a game goes on, especially when there's things like the Marnies, the Ins. You kind of forget what is where if you're not careful. So, nothing wrong with getting to just kind of take a nice little peek at the deck here. We are going to Gallade Buddy Catch here, getting the in, so we are going to see some hand attack here. No, we're going to get the Lysander. Lysander is just that Boss's Orders. This card was printed before they kind of standardized the Professor's Research Boss's Orders and stuff. And Steve also has the Guzma in his hand, so lots of bossing effects here. We could see a boss of the Old Amber and a big knockout. That would be really, really solid here. Especially because Alan has put so much work into setting up the Aerodactyl. Knocking it out while it's the Old Amber would feel really bad. We also see that we have both access to Tulip as well as Teammates. Could Tulip to get some of these energy cards back into the hand to get some of these Pokemon. And it's looking like we're going to get just 3 here. The Necrozma, the Tinkatink, as well as that Psychic Energy. So notably this Gallade is going to get to attack this turn. And Steve has started setting up his follow-up attackers to try to close out the game here. We are just going to see just an attach for turn. Notably, the Xatu can only accelerate onto benched Pokemon. The Necrozma is going to get benched here, and we're probably going to see that Psychic Recharge, I would imagine, over to the Necrozma, but we could see the Tinkatink as well. Because it's looking like, because of the way Alan has set up his board here, he's going to take a knockout on this Gallade next turn. And so getting these extra Pokemon in play makes sense. And then putting the Psychic Energy onto the Necrozma or the Tinkatink here makes a lot of sense. Just trying to make it where on your next turn, you're going to Psychic Recharge. You're going to get to attach for turn. You might even get to Clairvoyant Sense if you're lucky. And so I don't think there is any way that Steve doesn't get to pick up a knockout on his next turn here. And with this knockout, he has taken the lead here. 3 prizes to 4. We do see the Winona is being played by Alan, and yet we are going to see Aerodactyl, we're going to see Wingull, and I imagine we could see maybe the Talonflame. Maybe it looks like the Lugia is going to get grabbed here. So, once again, we're kind of setting up some attackers here. We get to take a big knockout with the Aerodactyl. The Wingull is going to allow a setup of the Pelipper to get some of these supporters back. And bang, yep, all that's coming down. We do see Pelipper is in the hand as well as the rare candy. So we could see a world where on the next turn we find something like a Teammates maybe, and that just really allows us to pop off here. So once again, we're going to use that De-Evolution Ray from the Aerodactyl. That is going to put the Gallade back in the hand, so Steve does get the extra card in the hand, but are going to take a big knockout here. 3-3. Alan is not out of this game by any means, and I say that, but a big Teammates could help close the door on Alan from Steve here. We know that he's going to probably grab that rare candy. Could also grab the special energy that he needs to get to attack with the Tinkaton, and that's looking like what was going to happen here. Notably, the reversal energy is not turned on. The players are tied on prizes right now, but the Tinkaton doesn't care about the special energy doing anything. The fact that it is a special energy is just good enough. So an attach of the reversal plus a Psychic Recharge is going to allow this Tinkaton to hit for a whopping 180 damage, enough to knock out anything on Alan's side of the board here. Now, notably, Alan's deck is getting very, very small here. With that Gather Materials, discarding a card to draw 3, Steve's deck only has, I think, about 4 or 5 cards in it. So Steve does need to be a little careful here. If he gets a little too reckless, Alan could do something like Boss the Malamar and then just sit on it, and then the game could just end. But notably, Steve does have access to things like Palpad and In, so I don't think Steve is going to be getting milled out anytime soon. But he needs to be aware if he doesn't think about that, there could be a world where he goes, wait, how many cards do I have in deck? And then the game slips away from him. But we are just going to see that retreat into the Tinkaton. Big knockout, down to 2 prizes for Steve. And Alan is not in the best of spots here. He has no attacker set up. The Lugia is in play, but it's got no energy on it. And even if he was able to put energy on it, it's not knocking out that big 140 HP Tinkaton. So just going to see the Fletchling come up, and Teammates was the draw for turn. That is exactly what Alan needed. This Teammates is going to allow him to kind of have a great turn here. He can get the Talonflame. He notably already has the rare candy in his hand, and he's eyeing up that counter energy. Alan is behind on prizes, so that counter energy will provide 2 energy, allowing that Talonflame to do 220 damage, because that Tinkaton does have 2 retreat, and I even double checked this time. There's no Floatstone. There's no mystery energy. There's no like stadium like that is reducing the retreat cost. There's nothing like that going on here. So Talonflame will get to take a knockout here, and that feels very, very good. But unfortunately for Alan, that Wobbuffet still has the Floatstone on it, so Steve is probably just going to promote that Wobbuffet, accelerate energy with his support Pokemon into play, and then I can imagine either the Mewtwo or the Necrozma taking a big knockout on that Talonflame. Are going to see the rare candy Talonflame. Ooh, and we're not even going to use the counter energy here. We are just going to use that double colorless energy, true blue double colorless energy. What a great Pokemon card. We missed the double colorless energy. And gift energy is the prize card for Alan here. That's pretty bad, because this is probably the last turn gift energy is going to matter, because once Steve takes a knockout this turn, gift energy is not going to be doing much, because if Steve takes another prize, he wins the game. So, yep, Psychic Recharge over onto the Mewtwo. Gonna see probably the Attach for turn. Or no, gonna Clairvoyant Sense first, draw 2 more cards. And I don't think Steve has an energy in his hand, but yeah, he does not have an energy. And I don't think there's a energy in the discard pile that Steve can... Oh no, there is. There is one that Steve can get. So we could see that Versus Seeker grabbing the Tulip, which then can get that Psychic energy back into the hand. Steve also only has 4 cards in the deck here, so like that is... The deck is getting thin, so if there's any Psychic energy in the deck, could maybe just get it out by drawing a card or 2, right? And yeah, lots of options. Just gonna play that Versus Seeker. Gonna grab gonna get the Guzma Teammates. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Gonna play Teammates, allowing we see that there's 2 Psychic energies, Mystery Energy and Dimension Valley are in the deck here. And so that is just perfect for Steve here. Horror Energy, probably should put that on the Necrozma. And I promise I'm not coaching. I promise he can't hear me. Definitely caught himself real quick. The Dimension Valley is going to allow that Mewtwo to attack with only 2 energy on it. And attaching the Horror Energy to the Necrozma does mean that Steve kind of locks up the game here with this play. The Mewtwo gets to attack with the 2 energy, knocks out the Talonflame, puts Steve down to 1 prize card, and even if Alan finds some way to knock out this Mewtwo, he can just promote the Necrozma. He's gonna draw Psychic energy for turn. He gets to take a knockout. Something like a Marnie or a Iono doesn't stop him either. So Alan is gonna need to try to find some way to bump this Dimension Valley and play something like an In to make the deck where that the Psychic energy are kind of not at the top, has to get lucky. And honestly, we probably want to find something like a Field Blower to get rid of U-Turn Board and Floatstone. That could be another option. Just kind of try to stall something in the active for a little bit, but it's not looking good for Alan. He's taking a look through the discard pile, making sure, checking, doing the Doctor Strange, checking every timeline. Is there a way that we can steal this game here?
How many did we win? 1.
And the Pelipper is going to use that Hearsay ability. Going to look through the discard pile, grabbing a supporter card. And I can't imagine it is anything other than the Teammates here, right? Could be the Raihan to help accelerate some energy into play maybe. But I imagine we're probably just going to see the Teammates here. And we're going to take a peek in that deck and make sure that there is anything at all that can get us out of this. And it is looking like... Could be anything. Yep, looking like it is going to be that Teammates. It's such a tough spot for Alan. The Psychic deck does a great job of putting the opponent in a checkmate scenario, right? Multiple attackers in play, doing a great job filtering through the deck, using refinement, gather materials, discarding cards. It's just a lot of little things here. So looking like he's eyeing up the counter energy as well as the field blower. Also, Parallel City works too. Parallel City bumps the Dimension Valley, forces Steve to get rid of a bench Pokemon. Hey, maybe he misclicks. Maybe he clicks on the Necrozma by accident. You know, you never know. You know, wise words from a friend of mine. He says, sometimes the best play that you can make is one that lets your opponent misplay. So let's see if Steve accidentally clicks on the Necrozma, puts it in the discard pile. Otherwise, don't know if it's going to be good enough, if I'm being honest with you. All right, moment of truth. What is Steve going to get rid of with this Parallel City? It's going to be... What is it going to be? And let's see. We have the counter energy, putting the Muscle Band on that Lugia as well. A big Scoop Up Net to put the Wingull, you know, putting the Lugia in the active, put the Wingull back on the bench. Steve does need to discard a Pokemon. He is not doing it. But looking like it's not going to matter. The 2 Psychic Energy there was never going to happen, but that's okay. Very, very close game here from both players. It really seemed like being able to sit on the Wobbuffet and that Hex Maniac for a couple of turns, just turning off Alan's abilities, gave Steve enough time to continue to set up his board into an even more powerful position. But with that, we are going to call it there for today, y'all. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hey, leave me a comment. What is your favorite bird in Pokemon? Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. You can follow us on X as well as Blue Sky. And with that, my name is Cody, and I'm signing out.